You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Thanks so much for joining me here today on part one of our Cabral House Calls. Can't wait to get to our community's questions this week. Again, we answer all of our community's questions each and every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. I do hope you've been tuning in over the past few weeks, months, and years, where we've now gone over, it's got to be around 5,000 questions. We're still trying to figure out how many questions we've answered just on the Cabral House Calls. But really great for me to be able to see what the community is asking, what people are looking for in terms of help, and just trying to provide what I can from my experience, the people that I've worked with, and really now, I think having pretty much seen it all after many years, about 20 years in practice, and having seen now well over or overseen over 250,000 different client appointments. So it just allows us a lot of perspective. So again, my two favorite words are perspective and gratitude, right? The nice thing is that as bad as people think they have it, I know that there is a way out. And I also know that there's so many other people probably who have it even worse. Now, it doesn't make them feel any better about what they're dealing with, but I can tell you for sure, we've worked with some really, really sick people. And again, I never want that to discount wherever you're at right now, but I want you to use it to the fact that, okay, you might not be feeling well, you might be struggling with losing weight, you might feel like you're aging too quickly, but you can do something about that for sure. And sometimes it can always be worse. Like, it's perspective, right? So let's look at that, let's work on it, let's overcome it together, and I have no doubt that we can do that. So let's start answering some of our community's questions right now, and we are picking up with Margie. Margie wrote this in on 10/23. So again, we're about 5 weeks behind if you wrote into the house calls, the Ask Cabral. Happy to answer these, like I said, each and every weekend. And we get to about 5 to 8 questions, I would say, each day, somewhere between 10 and 16, sometimes on a really good weekend, 10 to 20 questions per weekend. So again, all previous house call shows are over at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And then, of course, for daily Q&A, where you want to get your questions answered right away, you can ask them at cabralsupportgroup.com, or feel free to just email support@equilibriumnutrition.com. All right. Margie is up first. Hey, Dr. Cabral, thank you so much for all the work you do to educate us on wellness. I've learned so much from you. My son gets nosebleeds. Without bumping husband nose or any kind of trauma, his nose will start bleeding. Oh, I think it should say his nose. I think it was just a typo there. It usually stops after some pressure in around 5 minutes or so. There are times it will bleed a few times a day. There are times that it won't bleed for a month, and then it will bleed weekly. Is there anything I can do to support his body and little nose to heal and come back to balance? Thanks in advance. Okay, so first things first, this is what we want to do. I mean, again, I'm all for conventional medicine. I really am. To look at diagnostic-based issues. Okay, so I'm assuming you've brought your son to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. And they're going to look up his nostrils, and they're going to look for polyps. They're going to look for any type of growths. They're going to look for something that could be causing these nosebleeds. Now, if they give you the all clear, great. It's most likely nothing really serious, right? But again, you know that I can't diagnose, treat, or cure, especially over a podcast. But here's what we want to look at. Most nosebleeds are due to dryness of the nasal passages, a lot of them at least. Now, there is trauma, and there's previous trauma, okay? But here's what we want to look at. As long as your son is not picking his nose, which, again, is a very common way to get nosebleeds, it could be from dryness, and it's part structural, right? So some people are more prone to getting nosebleeds. Like, I'm more prone to getting darker circles under my eyes. Those capillaries under my eyes, they don't get fed blood very well. right? And if I look at it like my dad and one of my brothers, they have no circles under their eyes. My mom, my sister, one of my other brothers, we all have circles under our eyes. It's the shape of the face, and it's how the capillaries are fed as well. Now, you can make those circles worse by low oxygen, by not getting enough sleep, etc., but some people are just more prone to that, right? Now, with nosebleeds, it's a little different because your nose should not be bleeding that often. Okay, so here's what we want to do. If it's dry nasal passages, we want to make sure that we use something like a Nasya oil, Nasya. You can look up Nasya oil. Sometimes we carry it at equilibriumnutrition.com. Sometimes we don't. But you can go to stevencabral.com/podcast and type in Nasya oil, and you'll find out the Ayurvedic oil drops that you can put 1, 2, or 3 drops into your son's nose as he's lying down, maybe with his head on your lap and his head tilted back. You can just have him put the drops in and have him suck in one nostril, 2 drops at a time, and then the other nostril, 2 drops at a time. It might drip back towards his throat. He can just spit out any excess oil he feels, and then he can just gently rub the side of his nostrils to allow that to lubricate the nasal passages all the way up through the sinuses. And he can do this in the AM, and he can do this in the PM. Give that a shot, Margie, or Margie. All right, Aracely. I get the most interesting names on the house calls. I really do. And I love it. So it's Aracele, Aracely, or Aracely. I would like more information about a ringing problem in my ears. They give me medication for inflammation. I would like to know more about losing weight. All right. So Aracely, all I want you to do is head on over to stevencabral.com/podcasts, and I want you to type in tinnitus. Tinnitus. All right. So we're going to head over there. I'm going to do it with you right now because I've given this answer before and I've given it in depth multiple times. So I want everyone to also use this page to search before you ask the question. Not because I don't mind answering it at all, but also I want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. So when I type in tinnitus, I have 9 podcasts on that were answered on the house calls for tinnitus. Now, if I go back to the search box and I type in ringing, as in ringing in the ears, let's see how many pop up as well. Well, we have 53. So we'd have to narrow that down to ringing ears, and we can see if we can do that. I'm just doing this with you to show you how you can narrow things down. Now we have 19 podcasts on ringing ears, all on house calls, all right? So check that out because there are multiple reasons for that. Fluid in the ears, inflammation, low B vitamins, low magnesium, higher levels of stress. Like there's multiple issues. So I want you to check that out and you'll be able to go through them. In terms of weight loss, I mean, there's so many things you could do and so many podcasts you can listen to. Every Wednesday is a Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday. So check those out. When in doubt, always start with stevencabral.com/823. And that's how to do a functional medicine detox. No better place to get started. All right, Bev's up. Next, I purchased your collagen, was wondering if it has all types of collagen included in it. I was told a good collagen has to have all types included. I'm sure it probably does, but I'm just making sure. Bev. All right, Bev, really great question. But the always what you're looking for is what does it do? Like what's the end result, right? You want to improve what? Your hair, your skin, your nails, your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, right? That's what we want. So what we did was we purchased the 3 most expensive, literally the 3 most expensive patents out there in terms of collagen. And that's what we did. So they are comparable. Now you're probably referring to type 1, type 2, and type 3. So just always keep in mind, I'm always doing my homework for sure, right? Always looking at it because I get to formulate these how I choose to. And what I want is results. That's it. I mean, I have a practice where people have been to a dozen, 2 dozen, 50 other specialists, and we need to help them get results when they've never gotten results before. So I have to do what's going to work because I promised them that we want this to be their last stop. That's it, okay? So what you're probably talking to is most people try to include type 1, type 2, and type 3 collagen. Now, type 1 and type 3 are very similar, okay? They're going to help a lot of the hair, the skin, the nails, the joints. Type 2 is going to help a lot with the synovial joint fluid, with the cartilage itself. We use 3 patented extracts that do all of those things. Now, keep in mind, Nobody makes a collagen with all types of collagen. So just be careful. Again, the marketing that in the supplement industry is a little shady. There's actually 16 different types of collagen, okay? So 16 different types. Nobody puts in all 16 different types. Remember, what you're after are the results. That's what it's all about. And yes, we use all the comparable products to type 1, type 2, and type 3. So hopefully that helps. That's called Advanced Collagen Support. Every single morning, I always use it off and on. But starting about 7 months ago, it's actually been the beginning of the year. So now it's been almost 11 months. I use it every day in my shake. Why? Makes it just a little bit thicker and it has no taste to it at all. I put 1 scoop in every single morning. My wife does the same exact thing. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I really do. If there was a better collagen out there, I'd be using it and I'd be giving it to you as well. It's called Advanced Collagen Support by Equilibrium Nutrition. Fantastic product. All right, Gemma's up next. GEMMA. Dear Dr. Cabral, I have 2 interlinked questions. First, I have a very high methane SIBO, but hydrogen was in range. My baseline 24. I've been taking anatril, but it hasn't done much so far. The testing indicated that it was likely LIBO, or LIBO, L-I-B-O, rather than SIBO. Is there a difference in treatments for these conditions? I was thinking about taking the Cabral detox for the LIBO, but also the CBO protocol, but I'm confused ordered to do them in. That's a great question. Again, you can always ask these things at cabralsupportgroup.com and they can help you as well. Okay. So, and then you say with Christmas coming, it might be difficult to do the 3-month program so religiously because of occasional alcoholic drink and then Christmas dinners. Totally get it, Gemma. Totally get it. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I realize that. I get it. Here's what you do. 7-day, 14 or 21-day detox. Okay. Whatever you want to do. Remember, the longer you do the detox, up to 21 days, the better the results. That opens up the liver-based pathways of detoxification. It also sets you up nutrition plan. Remember, on our CBO protocol for both large, small intestinal overgrowth or for candida, okay? It's going to work on all of it. It passes through the same tunnel, as we call it, right? Goes through the stomach, and then there's this 26-foot tube. There's about 6 feet or so, 5 to 6 feet of large intestine, and there's what's less than that, about 17, 18, 20 feet or so of small intestine. So here's the thing though. Those herbs, all of those enzymes we use, the very specific non-pathogenic yeast, all of those things go through the whole intestine and they work the whole way down. It works great. So what can I tell you? After 3 weeks, you're allowed a once a week flex meal of whatever you would like. I mean, honestly, it still works that way. Now, by the time you get to Christmas, that's about 7 weeks away or so, you'll already be past that 3 weeks. So I would say get started, or if you just say, you know what, I want to wait, okay. If you can, do the detox right after Christmas. Maybe have 1 cheat meal on New Year's, and then get right into the CBO protocol. And then you follow those first 3 weeks. Or wait until the new year, then do your 7-day detox or longer, up to 21 days if you need to especially lose some weight too, and then do that CBO protocol. However you want to do it, it's going to work great for you. So I just don't like people to wait. I really don't. I want people to start getting results now. But I understand. I mean, if you're going to have 3 or more cheat meals per week, then you probably want to wait. Okay. Troy's up next. What are your thoughts on male ejaculation in relation to vitality, energy, and health? I've heard that retention of semen is important, but when I restrict myself, I tend to beat myself up over it when it's obviously hard to be celibate. Would love to hear your thoughts. Please include this in IHP. All right. So, but I mean, here's the thing for the IHP. IHP is our Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. We train people to become health coaches. That's what we do at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And it's amazing. We absolutely love it. It's grown to 1,000 members organically just in a year. It's fun. It's fantastic. It really is. It's an amazing community of really caring individuals. About 50% of the people have no health experience at all who come into it, and about 50% of people are in the health-based field. So it's a great mix of people. So here's the thing, though. I hope that our IHPs are listening to the podcast every day, because remember, even after you finish your level 1 and or level 2 certification, the education never stops. Doesn't stop for me, and I don't want it to stop for you. So keep on tuning into the podcast. All right. So here's the thing. I've studied this. I'm certainly not an expert in this, but I've studied a lot with traditional Chinese medicine as well as Ayurvedic medicine. Too much male ejaculation leads to a burning out of the central nervous system, more of the Vata-based state in Ayurveda. And, I started to look into the possible reasons why. And the reason is that there's actually a massive amount of neurotransmitters released during ejaculation. And that leads to excitation of the nervous system. And that can wear you down. Besides the loss of zinc and other things like that in the body needs to begin the repair-based and recuperation-based process. So it's something to think about. I've actually talked about this in a previous podcast. Quick recap, in Ayurveda, they say that Vata body type for males, women it's different. So men are giving out energy and females can actually be taking in energy. And so what we look at it is this. Vata body type, it said ejaculation once a month for males. And for Pitta, about once every 1 to 2 weeks. And for Kapha body types, it could be multiple times per week. And again, depending on the Kapha, it could even be more than that. So I'm just giving you what Ayurveda says. Everyone should do what they feel is best for their body, with their partner, for their relationships, what they feel is best, and also the state they're in. If you're completely worn out, if you're suffering from myalgic encephalitis, if you have, which is ME, if you're suffering from chronic fatigue, you don't want to be, that's the truth. You don't want to be giving out all of your energy. You want to be taking in energy. So the thing is, though, Troy, you could also have intercourse without ejaculating. And that might be something that you want to think about. And that starts to get into Tantra and other things as well. So again, not an expert in the topic, but I look into the health-based side of it. And Troy, hopefully that was helpful. Heather's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you so much for the work you do. I recently completed your 21-day detox, and I feel great. I'm continuing on my journey to health and excited about where it will take me. I'm writing on behalf of a friend of mine who has struggled with alcoholism and now has cirrhosis of the liver. I'm not sure how far along it is. In addition to that, she now has a lump in her throat, and the doctors are not sure, but they think it might be cancer. Is there any guidance you could provide from a functional medicine perspective regarding cirrhosis of the liver? Is there any way to reverse the damage that's already been done? Okay, thank you for the question here. What I want to do, Heather, is just let you know that whenever there might be cancer, cirrhosis of the liver, you need to make sure that anything you get for advice, you run by that person's practitioner or doctor. So here's the thing, though. Cirrhosis of the liver can often cause scarring. The goal is to cut this off as quickly as we can. So what we do, and again, I've done many shows on fatty liver as well as cirrhosis. You can go to stevencabral.com/podcast and just type in cirrhosis. You can also go there and just type in fatty liver, either one of those, and you'll get at least a half dozen shows on the topic. Then I did a show, I think it was on episode 960 on fatty liver detox, basically. But what you want to look at is this. You want to be able to ramp up as much as you can liver detoxification. Again, check with your doctor, okay? Check with your doctor or healthcare practitioner. But of course, you want to really make sure that if they're smoking, that they stop. If they're eating a lot of protein, that they slow it down. If they're eating a very high fatty diet, that they slow that down. If they're drinking alcohol, that they stop. And they want to be careful with NSAIDs, aspirin, and other things that the liver has to process. Okay, really important. After that, we typically start people with smoothies. Like, that's a big thing. Get veggies in there, get some berries in there. You want a lot of antioxidants, okay? We're typically also using some vitamin C. All these things come in the daily nutritional support, but we're trying to ramp up detoxification gently first. And then in the future, we would love to be able to do a functional medicine detox for 21 days if their doctor allows for that. But we also have to get them on more of a plant-based diet, more of a healthier-based diet overall. So that's where I would start, drinking some ginger tea, things like that, whatever they're able to do. Green tea, turmeric tea, all of those things are really nice as well. So good place to get started. Hopefully that was helpful. And let's see if we have time for one more question. Yes. All right. Rani says, or Rani, R-A-N-I. Hi, Dr. Stephen Cabral. I have a quick question for you. I have tried the intestinal cleanse after completed the SIBO protocol and got some abdominal pain on day 2 that led to some loose stool. Of course, I stopped the protocol. Then I tried it later this summer and got abdominal pain within a day. My husband ended up doing the protocol and had no problem. Why do you think I had a reaction? And if there is an alternative method to do the intestinal cleanse, since this one doesn't work for me. I know the coffee enema only cleanses a small part of your colon. It may be my only option now. Thank you, fellow IHP student. Rainey, thank you for writing in. And so remember, there's always a reason why. So write in. Remember, I'm here to help. people don't always think like, oh, he doesn't have time for my question. I do, and I want to help. I really do. Because if you never wrote in, you wouldn't know that cramping for some people is normal. So that cramping and the loose stool subsequent to that is what a lot of the herbs do, right? The laxative-based effect of senna or the laxative-based effect of cascara. So these are normal, used in Ayurveda, used in traditional Chinese medicine. However, the dosage was just a little strong for you. So here's what we want to do. If you were doing 3 capsules at night before bed, we take it to 2. If you were taking 2 capsules, we take it down to 1. That's it. We lower the dosage. And that's on the FAQ page, I believe, as well. Now, if you were using, and you're using the powder as well, I don't think it's the powder. The powder is more of the bentonite clay, the binders, all of those great things, okay? So that's what I would do. Now, you could also, though, go from 1 scoop of the powder to simply half the dosage. That's it. That's all I would do. So we call this titrating in. And since you're an IHB student, you want to really grasp this and really, you want to do it yourself first. So you're doing great. Because remember, as you help people, let's say they do the SIBO protocol and they feel the same type of symptoms. Doesn't mean it's not working. Here's what we need to do. Instead of 2 capsules, we go down to 1. That's all that we do. Or we only use 1 product at a time and we only start at 1 capsule. We only do that before bed. And we say, okay, if that goes well after 3 days, we add in 1 more capsule at night. Okay, and if that goes well, then we add in 1 in the morning. And if that goes well, then we add in 2 in the morning. And now we're at full dosage, right? So remember, it's just called titration. I learned this myself many years ago, and now I'm passing it on to you. I didn't make these things up. I learned it. I pass it on to you. Remember, we're all in this journey together. We really are. So thank you so much, Rainey, for writing in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Cabral Concepts. I appreciate listening to this weekend house calls. If you're able to leave a review on iTunes, it would only take you 30 seconds, less than a minute. I would really appreciate that. I read every single review. I love reading it. It energizes me, inspires me to keep on going and keep on doing these podcasts. So thank you very much. And of course, if it was helpful, please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it can serve. Stay tuned. We have more community questions coming tomorrow. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at weekly.Life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the equal life difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.